On behalf of the governing body of the City of Passaic, we welcome you to the July 15th, 2025 City Council meeting. In accordance with Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by resolution of the Municipal Council adopted on June 17th, 2025, setting forth the schedule of meetings for the year 2025-2026. Said notice was published and posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board by the Office of the City Clerk. Please be further advised, this meeting will be conducted in person. The Zoom stream provided is for viewing only and is offered to the public as a convenience. On July 4th, 2025, public notice and Zoom instructions for this meeting were published in the Herald News and posted on the City of Passaic website at www.cityofpassaic.com, Council Agendas. Instructions are also available on the last page of this agenda. Please be guided accordingly.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Mello,
Present.
Councilman Mayor,
Present.
Councilman Garcia,
Present.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Present.
Councilman Love,
Present.
and Council President Scheer.
President, shall we all please rise?
Heavenly Father, we want to thank you, Lord, for allowing us to meet this evening. Lord, we ask you to please guide us in the decisions that will take place this evening. In your beloved name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting this evening. May we ask if you have a cell phone to please put it on vibrate and turn it off so as not to disturb your neighbors. We also ask if you've not already received a copy of the agenda, they're located outside, or you can access the agenda as well as all the documents that accompany the agenda on the internet. They're able to receive everything that the council has received, and we thank the administration for the materials so that we can deliberate with good knowledge. Tonight may very well be a regular meeting in sense of duration, or it could go a little bit longer or a lot longer than originally anticipated because of items on the agenda. That being the case, we are on our agenda, Roman numeral 4, Mayor's update. Mr. Mayor, it's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Council President, members of the City Council, and all those present. Before we brief, I wanted to share this meeting that last night, obviously, there were concerns and reports of flooding, but in the City of Passaic, we did not have any incidents. Obviously, our prayers, and our thoughts go out to all municipalities that face challenges during flooding, our continued investment in infrastructure. I have to start from the beginning, Renee. My mic wasn't on. Apologies. It's a 10-hour drive from North Carolina. Just got in. As I was saying, Council President, members of the City Council, all those employees from City Hall, and all those present, my report will attempt to the best of my ability to be short, succinct. Last night, there was a lot of rain, and I know there were many reports around the state, obviously around our area in the north, regarding flooding. I report that in the City of Passaic, we did not have any incidents. Our prayers and our thoughts go out to all the communities that face challenges, including those that had losses. Our continued investment in infrastructure and flood mitigation efforts have had great impact. I want to thank our police department and our fire department for going around the city throughout the storm, for meeting beforehand, ensuring that they are prepared to respond to any calls and concerns. I wanted to share with our council members that you may be driving around the city and you may have noticed repairs or roads that are beginning to be repaired. We are dealing with a lot of repairs around the city. We strategically try to schedule them around the season between spring and summer, and begins to end around the fall, because obviously the winter, it's not conducive to fix roads because of the snow and the plows. Just an update for those that may be watching online. We are working on Chestnut Street from Gregory Avenue to Myrtle Avenue from Oak Street to Gregory Avenue, Henry Street from Myrtle Avenue to Garden Street, Passaic Street from State Street to Market Street, Exchange Place from Passaic Street to Pennington, High Street from Paulson Avenue to Main Avenue, and Howe Avenue from Grove Street to Prospect Street. Members of the City Council, Council President, there have been some questions from residents as to our approach to angled parking. and painted parking, and how we come to that decision, especially while we're milling and paving the roads. I wanted to update you. I know that you're privy to the information, but obviously for those that are not and those that may be watching online, the angled parking, we don't arbitrarily decide to do this, and we don't make those decisions in silos. What we have is our engineers and professionals that we task to go out, along with our police officers, to do traffic studies. And when we find a road that is conducive for angled parking, which obviously increases parking spaces and multiplies them, we either task our DPW to paint them, or we get an official contractor with a machine that can get it done quickly. But it is our desire to paint the parking spaces, linear parking spaces throughout the entire city. We've done Hudson Street, we've done Myrtle Ave. This has shown a great deal of benefit, and we've received a lot of positive feedback, Council President, members of the City Council, in terms of preserving parking spaces and ensuring that individuals do not take up more space than they need. In regards to community news, I wanted to share with you that this weekend we had the Colombian flag raising and Colombian Festival held at Third Ward Memorial Park. We want to thank Ms. Isabel Guadino and all of the organizers together for yet again another successful event this year. And also, there was doing it in the park at school number 11. Tradition that has long been in the city, bringing different communities together. This year, under the leadership of Ms. Alexis Willis and partners, they were able to give out bicycles again, raffle them off to children, display or showcase the talent of the community with individuals coming up on stage and again bringing the communities together. We are thankful to always provide space in all of our parks and all of our areas for our extremely diverse communities. In the next coming weeks, we will have the Puerto Rican flag raising. I am obligated by law, the attorney said, to mention Maritza Colon Montañez and to say Huepa. Did I say it correctly? Thank you. I'm supposed to say that whenever I mention her name in the flag raising, as she's always been at the forefront of that. But we also will have the Peruvian flag raising and the parades, obviously, coming up forward. We have many flag raising and parades throughout the summer, and we will let you know. That is the extent of the report that I will give today. If you have any questions about anything going on in the city or regarding the report, I'm available to answer.
Mayor, if I could ask one question, if I'm putting you on guard, I apologize. But do we have any approximate number of children who are participating in our various summer programs?
We can get the exact number for this. Each year, we get the enrollment. Like right now, we've added more children. So this is the very first year that, and I believe we are the only city doing this. I want to acknowledge our police department. And then we have Deputy Chief Gentile here under the leadership of Chief Guzman and Deputy Chief Shea, as well as Chief of the Fire Department, Patrick Chernakos, and Deputy Chief Munia and the entire Fire Department. This is the first year that we will have a special needs component to our junior police academy and our junior fire academy, meaning special needs children will participate for the first time with assistance. We're working with some powers from the school and our professionals here. So those numbers will increase. Typically, we have the final number by the end of the summer season, but I will get a number for you for the next council meeting of how many have enrolled right now. Each year it has increased, and I can guarantee you this year it increased from last year.
Excellent, excellent. Questions from the council? Thank you, sir. We thank you very much. We're up to Roman number 5 on our agenda. Mayor's presentation, 2025 preliminary budget.
Council President, forgive me, in my report, and Councilwoman Mello and to all the council members, I failed to acknowledge, we had the passing of a city employee this morning, Darrell Smoot, who worked very closely with our police department, our housing department. He passed away this morning. I know that that was shared, as well as we had tragic loss of a youth in the city. And unfortunately, obviously, when we get these reports, they are always difficult. But I know in the very beginning, Council President, you wish to be informed of this so that we can have an appropriate moment of silence as their family members may be aware. So we can hold a moment of silence for them and all those who have passed.
Moment of silence, please stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the budget.
Just one.
As good looking as you are, you don't look like my mayor. It says the mayor's presentation.
Presentation on his behalf, Council President.
Thank you.
Bear with me a second to pull it up on the screen. All right. Good evening, members of the City Council and residents of the City of Passaic. My name is Omar Garcia. I'm the Chief Financial Officer and Finance Director for the city. And it's my pleasure to present to you at tonight's meeting, the Mayor's 2025 Budget Transmittal. One second. There we go.
If you need help with the computer, I can probably be.
Oh, that would be great, Council President.
He did say it'd be a long meeting.
All right. Before getting into the numbers, first I would like to briefly explain what the budget is. So the budget is the outline of how the city intends to spend its funds during the calendar year in order to provide the necessary services for its residents. The budget breaks down into two parts: appropriations, which is how the city utilizes its funds to provide all its government functions and services, and revenue, which is how the city raises money in order to fund those services. Appropriations or expenses are broken down or further broken down by departmental salaries and other expenses, deferred charges and statutory expenses, capital improvements, and debt service. Revenue or income is broken down by fund balance or surplus, miscellaneous revenue, receipts from delinquent taxes, and amount to be raised by taxes. Now that we have an idea of what the budget is, let me explain on how the annual budget is prepared. The annual budget starts off on the departmental level. So department and the divisions submit requests dependent on their budgetary needs for each calendar year. Those requests are reviewed with the administrator and the CFO review those requests with the mayor. The administrator and the CFO meet with each department head to convey the mayor's approval or denial of each said request. Once all the requests are finalized and the full budget is put together, the budget is then presented to the city council. That's what I'm doing now. And ultimately will be introduced or is introduced by the city council. And that is on this agenda as well, July 15th. Once introduced, the council will then review the budget. The budget is then placed at a subsequent meeting, right now for September 2nd, for a public hearing and ultimately a vote for an adoption. So, as previously mentioned, appropriations. Appropriations are what the city anticipates spending for its day-to-day operations. The proposed appropriations for 2025 is $118,671,554. Now, you may ask, what are the significant changes in appropriations from last year to this year? So to highlight, health benefits increased $2,470,000 due to an increase in health premiums, which are set by the State Health Benefit Commission. That was an approximate 15% increase statewide. Salaries increased $1,992,000 due to contractual obligations to employees, or roughly a 3.92% increase from 2024. Liability and workers' compensation insurance increased $772,000 due to an increase in premiums set by the Joint Insurance Fund, roughly a 14.42% increase from 2024. Garbage collection and disposal costs increased $581,000 due to new bid contracts, which is roughly a 9.72% increase from 2024. The library appropriation, which is set by the state of New Jersey, increased $159,349. All increases above were set by either contracts or other governmental agencies. Now, sticking on appropriations, I'd like to discuss a little bit more about health benefits. Over the last 3 calendar years, the state health benefit premiums have increased 50.47%. The state health, as discussed, the State Health Benefit Commission approved an approximate 15% rate increase for 2025 for the 2025 Health Benefit Program Plan year. For the city of Passaic, 15%. That represents approximately $2,470,000 in increased cost for 2025 employee health premiums. Now, the city will be using an additional $500,000 from its reserves to offset the 2025 increase. Therefore, the net increase for health benefits in 2025 in the 2025 budget will be $1,970,000. However, if the health benefit costs do not decrease significantly in the next years, future budgets will have to bear this increase. And I'd just like to throw out, because this was something new that also came out, the State Health Benefit Commission uses an actuary to determine how much is needed to raise the rates each year. At a recent meeting in January, that actuary recommended a 32% increase in rates for the upcoming calendar year. So that's 80% for calendar year. 80%. Now, just how the budget breaks down between the categories I provided. Again, the proposed budget is $118,671,554. Salaries and wages makes up $52,725,000, or 44%. Other expenses, which include the health benefits and the liability insurance, make up $46,111,000, or 39%. Deferred charges, which includes pension contributions, is $15,258,000, or 13%. Debt service, which represents the repayment of previously issued bonds, is $2,076,000, or 2%. Capital improvements, $700,000, 1%. And reserve for uncollected taxes was $1.8 million, or 1% of the total appropriations. Now, just for illustration purposes, I mentioned debt service, which was the repayment of previously issued bonds. Attached is the future debt service payments. Like I mentioned on the slide previously, the 2025 debt service repayment was $2,076,000. As you can see, how we're repaying the debt over the next couple of years and towards the end for all the currently issued debt. Now, I'd like to make a note that as of December 31st, 2024, the city has outstanding debt of $18,334,000. That leaves the city still with a remaining borrowing power, the ability to issue debt of an additional $170 million. Just to show, as in comparison, the debt issued is very, very low. So it shows a great job for the city on keeping its debt service low.
Omar, could you share with us an equivalent municipality that we
Yeah, I could look, Council President, into our neighboring municipalities. I know just from my previous work as an auditor, this debt service or debt service usage is very low in comparison to municipalities our size. But to get you the exact or comparable, I can have that for you for the next meeting.
And what's the advantage of not having a lot of debt?
Well, so not having a lot of debt is obviously when you have to repay that debt, it has to be raised in the budget. However, debt, or more importantly, the bonds themselves become at sometimes necessary when you have to make larger capital improvements because it helps amortize the cost or stretch out the cost over a larger period of time as opposed to going to 1 year's budget and saying, well, this year the budget has to go up $5 million just for this one expense. You're able. So the city is obviously has ample room for bonds when it deems it necessary.
Thank you.
Now, on to revenue. Revenue or how the city funds appropriations. So as previously discussed, revenue or income is broken down into fund balance, surplus, miscellaneous revenue, grants, receipts of delinquent taxes from previous years, and the amount to be raised by taxes. So now, what are the significant changes in revenue from last year to this year? So the American Rescue Plan, or ARP funds, which were federal funds, were fully allocated by December 31st, 2024, reducing the revenue by $4,785,000 net of offsetting appropriations. The expiration of the two-year municipal relief fund, this was additional state aid that the state provided, reduced revenue by $1,308,000. In this proposed budget, the city will be utilizing $13,400,000 in fund balance or surplus, which is an increase of $7,285,000. An increase in the amount to be raised by taxes of $3,257,000, which equates to 4.25% of the prior year's tax levy. City also realized increases in municipal court revenue of $224,000, interest on investments of $500,000, an increase in various pilot revenue of $158,000. Pilot is payment in lieu of taxes, just for acronym purposes. Again, we have a balanced budget, therefore our revenues equal our appropriations. Our total revenues are $118,671,554. That is made up of $13.4 million, $13,400,000 in surplus, or 11%, $25,323,000 in miscellaneous revenue. That includes state aid of 22%. Receipt from delinquent taxes of $48,000, less than 1%. And the amount to be raised by taxes of $79,900,080, or 67% of the total revenue. Now, what does that mean? The estimated impact of the proposed tax levy increase is 4.25%. To put that into a little bit into perspective, the average home in the city of Passaic is assessed at $275,000. Therefore, based on that, the 2025 average home municipal tax bill in 2025 would be $7,415 in comparison to their 2024 average home's municipal tax bill was $7,137. That equates to an increase of $278 per year, or $23.17 per month. Now, I'd like to note that the increase in assessed valuations of $10 million above and beyond how much was appealed, that allowed us to limit the impact of this tax rate to 3.9%. Now, I'd like to thank the city council, the mayor, and the business administrator for allowing me to present this budget and take any questions.
Mr. Fernandez, number one, thank you very, very much. Mr. Fernandez, what is our dating? What happens now?
So once it's introduced, like Mr. Garcia discussed, it's sent to the state. The state has their month or two to review. The city council has their month or two to review, and they would come for second and approval, budget approval on the September council meeting. So you have from now till September, was it 5th, I think?
Second, I believe.
Second, September 2nd, for everything to be approved by the state and then adopted by this council.
Recognizing that most, if not all, municipalities are doing tonight or in the past days or in the future days what it is that we're doing, do we have any understanding how we're doing compared to our neighbors and friends?
Yes, sir. So I'm going to hand it over to the mayor, who's been diligent in having those discussions
We
with us.
anticipated that question.
Why am I not surprised, man?
You always request those numbers every year. So I want to thank the business administrator, obviously, our director of finance, just to give some general numbers. The largest municipality in the county, Patterson, is at over 10% increase. Wallington, I'm sorry, Patterson didn't introduce yet. Wallington is at 10%. Teaneck is at 7%, 7.15, Hoboken 6.9. Again, these are municipalities similar to us in numbers and government. Caldwell 6.6, Elizabeth 6.4, Union 5.9, Clifton, I believe that's 5.8, Hawthorne 5.4, West New York 4.8, Bloomfield 4.7, Kearney 4, Totowa at a 3.87, Wayne at 3.63, Nutley at 3.35.
So we all seem to be somewhat in the same boat.
Well, some significantly higher.
Some significantly higher, absolutely.
None lower, not significantly lower though than ours.
No, we're in,
Especially
compared
those
compared
that
to
are
everyone
under
else, I mean,
the
we're in good shape. The problem is that, looking at the average cost of a home in Passaic is how much? I'm sorry, 200 and, I mean,
But
how does,
So the way that works is you have all the assessments for every single line item. The homes are then taken from that grouping and divided based on that total. And that's what your average number is for each of the homes within the city. So we understand that there are homes that are significantly higher, but there are homes that are lower, right? So
the average income in Passaic is how much?
the average income, oh, now you got me to go back to the Census Bureau. I want to say we're in the like 50,000 and change, something like that, I believe was our last census.
So not
Let
directed
me see if I can-
to you or to the
Yeah,
council?
56,000, I'm sorry. 56,000 is the average.
So how does someone making $56,000, which is the average in the city of Passaic, how do they afford a $275,000 home?
Oh, they wouldn't. They'd probably get into a condo or something at $1.25, $1.75, right? That's what I'm saying. It's an average. So there are condos, townhomes. I think, and Mayor, if I could be so bold, one of the reasons that we've been proposing some of the changes in zoning that we've proposed throughout, especially the last couple of years, have been to accommodate that need, right? So that's why townhouses and this council approved townhomes in areas that didn't typically have townhomes, set aside ordinances to allow for, a different scale of income within each of the units that are being built to kind of balance, to create that balance, understanding that our average income is $56,000.
Questions?
First, I just want to say thank you for the presentation as well. And then also to the mayor, administration, and yourself. Thanks for making this so user-friendly, so to speak. I mean, budgets in the past have been kind of, and Mayor, you sat next to me where I bumped you, and can you explain this to me? But it's been a little confusing, and it's just outlined so well. Just back to the healthcare when you talked about it, and by no means in public or in private, I'm going to ever suggest any lesser insurance for our employees. I'm a beneficiary of state benefits, which are phenomenal. Okay, sorry, which are phenomenal. But have we looked at any alternate ways in terms of cost savings with the same type of benefits? I do know there's a penalty for going out, and then there's a penalty for coming back in if we had to. But what were the results?
So just so the council's aware, and we periodically have this conversation, we go out to the market every couple of years, right? So every couple of years, especially when they hit the 20%, we're like, told our brokers, go out. The mayor was adamant, we can't keep this up, the budgets can't be sustained. So we went out. Every year, they've come back that it is more beneficial because of our exposure to stay in the state's health benefit plan. Now, that being said, we went out again and we included this time the possible 30% increase on top of this current increase. And our broker has come up with certain options that we're in the process of discussing. And if any of them are viable, I'm sure the mayor will give us the direction to have that discussion. Right now, we're in the reviewing of the proposal. Our meeting is set for within, I think, the next couple of weeks to actually look at what the responses were from us going out to the market. This is not a unique thing. A lot of what's happening also, and we've had that discussion as well, is that some of the smaller municipalities that were in the state health benefits plan easily got out, right? So now what happens when you're looking at economies of scale and you keep dropping other municipalities out of the plan? Now it raises our premium because the only ones that are left are the ones with the highest exposure, right? And it's been raising so high, and we're a city, right? So let's put it in perspective. We're a city, so our exposure is much higher than a smaller suburban city. But so far, it's almost caught up with an urban city of our size that it may not be balanced. So those are things that our broker, we're waiting for them to explain to us in the upcoming meetings. I apologize if I took that.
All right. The only other thing is, I think you touched upon it, explained a bit to the council that the numbers sometimes make sense the first year.
Yeah.
If we come out, it's the following years as the numbers rise. And I'm going to ask the BA if he can share just what would impede us to go back into the state plan if we do come out.
Right. So the state plan, and I believe there's a statute change that would require any municipality that comes out of the plan to be out of the plan for a minimum of 3 years. What happens is whatever program we would look at would have to carry us for 3 years. Some of the options are going into other providers. Options like going as a self-insured entity is another option. And then there's a third option that just came up, which is like a card. What do they call it, Omar?
The difference card.
The difference card. So basically all that means is that they're going to go with that card and the city's going to pay the difference of what their actual claims are so that our exposure is lowered. I'm not saying any of these are viable. I'm just saying these are some of the options that are out there and what it is that we're looking for to see. But like the mayor's point is, and what has happened to certain municipalities is that they go into another product and then within 2 years, that product is more costly than getting out of the state plan. What I can tell you, and I think all of us are keenly aware of that, is that an 80% increase in 4 years is unsustainable. And municipalities that stay at that level are just going to be funding their money in health benefits on a premium and not their specific claims. So basically the process right now is that they're analyzing our claims and realizing with a city of our size, with this level of claims, what product would we fit in? And to your point about not lesser than. There's contractual obligations that anything we do has to be equal to or better. So when we're looking to go out to the market, it has to be commensurate with what we're currently offering to the employees.
Another question, Rick, and the last one. So there's a large sum that we would have to pay even if we went into a new one. And then after that 3 years, if I'm correct, and after that 3 years if it didn't work, we go back into the state or we attempt, then there's another large fee, right, to go back into it?
I want to say the fee is not the fee after the third year, right?
I believe so, and also the fee to get out, and I'll get you more information, but the city, just like quite a large number of municipalities within the state of New Jersey, in some legislation back in somewhere around 2011-ish,
So
municipalities were able to delay 2 months worth of premiums. So the city's not, I wouldn't call it penalty, but what the city would have to pay is that catch up of the 2 months, what you're referring to be able to leave. So you pay wherever you're at now, plus those 2 months that you were kind of behind on.
Right, so it's really, we owe them the money kind of thing instead
Yes.
of like the penalty, because if you take advantage of that 2 month, windfall for us.
but that would also be a hit to our budget, right? We would, if we
Yes.
went there, because that's an expense that we didn't.
Yeah, so
plan
some,
for.
some of the discussions is we budget for what our total amount is, right? So let's say roughly we're at $20 million benefits, right? That's what we put in the budget to account for it. We get to use it, right? That surplus, but every year we put it in to make sure that we can cover it. And then ultimately, let's say we did some sort of like self-insured plan, that money would be the fund, right? That money, that 20 million would be the fund. And the idea is that our claims are lesser than the 20 million. And then whatever the surplus is goes into the next year, because as everybody knows with health benefits, 1 year may be good, the next year may be very bad. And you have to get enough of a windfall, which is the problem in the current plan, where there is no windfall. So they had to make up that difference with these premiums. And the more the towns that are less exposed go out, the higher the premium.
And one more thing, if I can add, more importantly, you brought up a great point, Councilman, that 2 month delay needs to be considered. The broker already knows that and is including that as part of their analysis to determine cost savings. So they're already taking that into account, and on top of that, seeing if there's cost savings.
Right, so just think about this. Next year, 30%. If this year is 2.4 and next year we're doubling that up, you're looking at close to $5 million, right? That's like a big hit.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you.
To follow up on Councilman Love's question, do we have any preliminary understanding what policies in Washington specifically regarding Medicaid will affect us here?
Not that I'm aware of, Council
Yeah,
President.
we don't, us here as City Hall, it wouldn't really hit it for at least active employees. There may be, which we haven't looked at yet, there might be some sort of hit for the retirees, but we haven't seen that come in yet. We don't know how many of the retirees, because what happens typically is the retirees, once they go on the retirement plan, their primary becomes the Medicare.
Once they hit the age, right? So when someone retires, if they retire before the Medicare age, we're still paying for their premium at the total premium cost. But once they become Medicare eligible, the premium to us becomes less because they become part of the Medicare Advantage plan.
So I just want to be clear then that policies from Washington do not just inure to the states or the counties, they hit us locally right here.
Council President, if I may, just to clarify, if, and I just asked the BA if he can speak on this, if the retirees have a cut in their Medicare, are we contractually obligated to make up the difference?
I believe the answer is yes.
Yes.
I believe that's what the Council President is trying to
So
get to.
and thank you, Mayor, for that. That's correct. Because of the equal to or better, whatever cuts they get, we have to make up the difference.
Thank you. Councilman Mayor, please.
Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. Uh, Is there another product, a gap product for those retirees?
Say that
A
again?
gap product for the retirees who retire before, well, the retirees that retire before the 65 and over to receive Medicare benefits? An
So what
alternate
happens
product?
is that gap until you hit the age, you're just in the plan. You're just in our current plan. And then once you reach the age, that plan becomes secondary so that we don't have to pay the full freight on the premium for that employee. So what'll happen is, and that's why if Medicare is cut and they are in a Medicare product, that we would have to make up that difference. So right now, the way it works is until you hit the age, you're covered under the regular plan. And then once you hit the age, that plan becomes secondary.
One more question, if I may. The other municipalities mentioned definitely seem to be taking a bigger hit on their taxes than we do. But do we have any idea if they're touching their reserves or their surplus to keep
Oh,
their,
most absolutely they
they
are.
are touching?
Yeah. What happens is, for example, a municipality that's hitting a 10% or a 7% tax increase is doing it so they don't have to hit more of their surplus and then exhaust their surplus. So we've been very conservative with that, so that one of the discussions where we don't want to hit, like, for example, we do a zero today, right? We use up all of our thing, and then tomorrow you're over. Forget about 10%. We're over because we've used up all our savings. So what we've tried to do is systematically pick away so that we're not completely overwhelming the residents with a higher tax burden, but also keeping enough so that we can keep it sort of steady for the next, several years.
Councilman, if you would have seen in the initial reports, and I didn't want to name all of the municipalities. I just wanted to ensure that while you're looking at the numbers and you in your head juxtapose them to similar municipalities, demographics and numbers, that you consider that, especially coming after COVID, at the wisdom of the council working with the administration and the director of finance, we chose not to play the smoke and mirrors or kick the can down the road. The 0% I was mentioned by the business administrator. There was a commitment many years ago to try to keep it under 5%, no matter what. It's not always easy, but we never want to shock the residents. We understand that no tax increase is received positively ever, but that promise helps individuals at least prepare for it. And I want to thank the council because every year we've been able to maintain that. Ideally, we would want 0% increases. In fact, though that doesn't mean taxes disappear, we would want no taxes. But to the council president's point, he asked about cuts to Medicaid and Medicare, and they discussed retirees. Some of the benefits, not benefits, let me see how I phrase this. There are those who don't work in the city but still receive services from the city. And their cuts, even though they're not employees, seniors, expecting mothers from WIC. When these cuts impact the residents in the city, the needs are not going to go away. We can either choose to no longer provide them services in the city and see that need come to us in other ways, with people on the street, with us having to respond to homes, or prepare appropriately in terms of budgeting to address those concerns throughout the city. So we're also looking at those numbers. And I think that sometimes they're missed out on the fact that we still are going to have to face our seniors, populations that are vulnerable, in jeopardy of losing their homes, those who still need to eat every day and are dealing with food insecurity. So those are concerns that we consider as well with these cuts. So.
Just to be clear, I'm sorry, I must have missed something during the presentation. How much is the administration, based upon the document which you've given the city and given to this council, and we understand that it's now the council's budget, but what is the rate increase that the administration is proposing?
Yeah, so it's 4.25 as far as difference from appropriations, but because of the added assessed valuations, because now you've added more assessed property and balance it off, the actual impact to the resident on the municipal side is 3.9.
Oh, That's sizably lower than the other ones you had mentioned.
Correct.
And what does that do to surplus? What is the surplus today? What will it be tomorrow if this is passed?
So the surplus currently is $32 million. We're taking 13 million from it, and we approximately bring in about 11 million and change.
So next year, same time, same station, what should the surplus be?
Next year, let's say we bring back around the same. We're probably, depending if everything, it's hard to say, but if you're asked for a guesstimate, our surplus is probably going to go down maybe anywhere between the 13 million to the 16 million dollars, right? Because there's a lot of things here. For example, if just forget about everything else. If we just stayed in the state's health benefits plan, and that's ultimately what happens, that's $3 million that we got to take now from either a trust account or the surplus, which then brings you down to a $16 million usage versus a $13 million usage, just in general terms. The problem that we're having, and not just us, but just municipalities in general, is that the increases for things out of our control are so much faster than the increases in revenue, right? So one thing that I hope the council president noticed, because you're one that always asks, our courts went up an additional $224,000 from what they did last year, which is, but you can't balance the budget on court fines, right? So when you're sitting on, without doing a single thing, without touching the budget, an additional $3 million on top of what happened last year, you're already in the hole. So how do you make that up? To go to the mayor's point, if we want to keep it below the 5, then that's going to require us to use surplus to that extent. So unless revenue increases by $2 or $3 million over 1 year, which is not anticipated, you're looking at using at minimum the same surplus, but definitely right now, if everything stays flat, like if the increases that we know of happen, you're looking at least like 16 million.
I'm on the budget committee for the state, as you're well aware, and I will tell you that if the state's budget looked like this one, we'd be in much better shape.
I
never
tried
thought
to
I would
read
say
the
it.
state
Never thought I
budget
would
and
say
it was
that.
not fun.
Never thought I would say that, but the maintenance of surplus, even at the reduced levels that you're talking about, I could argue well that that's what surplus is for, right? And taking obviously a conservative approach that you all have seems to significantly inure to the benefit of the citizenry. Councilman Miller, please.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for the presentation. Very educational, and very user-friendly. I mean, someone that not good with budgets is able to catch a lot of stuff, so thank you, appreciate it. So I did notice that the increase on the garbage, 9.72.
Yeah, and if the council remembers, we bid that out several times to get a lower number. And this was the lower number of the, how many? 3 times I think we bid it, at
Yes, we
least.
bid it at least twice. And both times, we're coming up high, revising and trying to get better numbers. And this was the best number that came in through our bid contracts.
Right, it's just, and
For perspective, Omar, can you give what was the highest number?
I would have to get back to you on that number, Mayor, but I could get it.
yeah, it was roughly, the second lowest bidder was like over $1 million. Yeah, that's right, Mayor. And then to the mayor's point, like, we don't accept the number if it's way too high. I mean, how many times has this council sat here and seen us reject bid because the numbers are coming astronomically high, and I could tell you right now, forget about the tariffs happening, the anticipation of a possible tariff happening, talking about federal impact, has impacted every bid that we've put out.
And this has significantly gone up after COVID.
Yeah, so it went up automatically after COVID, because during COVID, they couldn't get employees. It was like this whole thing, and it went up. And now, so we've been gradually going up, and then COVID is over, and now this went up even higher. We've been going up, and one of the things the mayor wanted to make sure we did when we bid this out is lock in the rate. So this is locked in for another, I think, 3 years or after this one, because we did it last year. So we locked in the rate. The mayor's like, submit the lock in the rate. The council approved it, and we locked it in so that we don't go out to the market again and double it up once again.
To me, if you can, and I know that the council is privy to this, but for those who are watching, to the layperson, when you say lock it up, why do we do this? Why are we at the mercy of the responses or the bids that come in? Why can't we just shop around and look for cheaper options that don't come from government?
Yeah, so we're bound by the local public's contracts law, which specifies how we are to acquire any vendor for the city of Passaic. So we have to follow that process. Based on that process, they allow you, in certain instances, like a garbage contract, to go out multiple years for the purpose of being able to have a certain number going into the next budget, right? So if we did this and we had the 5-year rate, we know what the percentage increases are going to be for the next 5 years and are able to budget for it. If we were to do this every year, especially now, as volatile as the market is, you may see significant increases, because remember, the vendor who does it is also obligated to that number and not the changes in the market, right? They're responsible for what they submitted to us in the bid. So if the market fluctuates higher, the idea that they have a lockdown contract is beneficial for them. And because we've held that number, we're able to stabilize it and not go into a volatile market where we don't know what those numbers we will be getting back.
But conversely, we don't know the numbers versus 2 years from now. But I think that what we are essentially doing is, because it's a relatively short period of time, if anything radical should happen one way or the other, we can take advantage of that.
That's right. This is definitely
But forgive me,
to control the radical. It's to control the
it's
radical.
near impossible to do, especially with something like carding, because of its volatility.
Yeah, the trend over the last few years has not shown the numbers to go down.
Go down.
So in the most clear and basic way to explain it to those who are watching online, if you don't lock in a number for the next 3 years, and next year we try to go back out and the lowest number is $1 million, we don't have the luxury of saying, well, we just won't have garbage pickup and we'll wait to see if we can get it lower. That will be our options. That's why we lock it in.
Councilman Mayor, please.
The anticipation of all these tariffs and everything affecting the tangible item rate, do we have any idea of why these rates are going up insurance-wise, and if there's any light at the end of the tunnel for rates to stabilize?
So I think a lot of it has to do with exposure, and some of the things, like when we do our workers' comp self-insurance meetings, one of the things that I've noticed and I always bring up, and Omar and the attorneys are part of that committee as well, is everybody's quick to go to surgery. I've never seen, from when I first started this 15 years ago as an administrator till now, the amount of surgeries have significantly, I would say, tripled from what they used to be. Before, everything was go to PT, right? Physical therapy. Now they cut first and then they go to physical therapy. And when you start doing that, the rates are significantly higher because everything costs more, right? I think it's the exposure. I think the issue is the cost of the services are going up, and then the exposure number, right? When you have roughly 700 employees at any given time, total within the city, and that's kind of what the market is. It's hard. Yeah, so we were Councilman, just to put it in perspective, we used to put in an average of an increase of like 6% for our health premiums. That was always our average forever. And you just heard over the last 3 years, we've gone up 50% and now going up another 30% when we used to average 6%. So what we're doing is, in fact, when we did the projections, Council President, that you asked about using surplus for next year, we put in 15%, right? When we were looking at it, and now we got the number like a day ago or 2 days ago that it's going to be 30%, right? Which now that increases the usage that we need for surplus. So and it's like we were talking, you never know what tomorrow is. The best thing that could happen is if, let's say, if we anticipated 15% and it only ended up being 8%, right? There's also a trust account we could put the surplus in, or it goes back into surplus that we can then use to balance the budget, right? So it never goes, it's never wasted. It just helps us for the upcoming year. But it's better to anticipate high and be low, but we haven't been able to do that with the volatility of the market.
From the macro perspective, like nationwide, I understand it's not a Passaic problem, but what's driving this is the claims, like just claims,
Claims.
claims.
Claims. And then in the state health benefits plan, I think the actuary, so let's not forget the actuary, right? Because this is based on a premium and the fund is the state, they anticipated a number, their claims came much higher, and then you had a mass exodus of those with lower claims hiring that, requiring them to meet the gap. So going back to your gap, the state right now needs to meet the gap of all those municipalities leaving and the higher exposure, which is leading us to these numbers right now. We were hoping that one day it would balance out. In fact, we thought it would happen sooner rather than later, but we had this issue where they gave us the 24%. They said, we're gonna help you guys out the following year. And then it went up another 6% the following year. And then there's a mass exodus. And now there's no way of them to catch up without these enormous increases.
Councilman Garcia, please.
I got the answer already. Thank you.
I have someone that has their line.
I do.
Councilman Love, excuse me.
Thank you, Council President. As a council person, sometimes I'm programmed to look for the increases and point those out and scrutinize those. But I just wanted to point out some increases that I think are phenomenal that you guys were able to do and keep us in a great place with a budget, right? One, our health division, right? The increase there, that's direct services to our citizens. So I'm amazed that you guys were able to increase there and still have a low increase. Well, I'm not gonna say low, but a great increase, right? Low is 0 for us, but we know that's not feasible. The division of recreation, which is very dear to me. I mean, we've increased money there. That means that more of our children have an opportunity to have safe activities and be off the streets. Our handicap recreation has went up significantly, and that's awesome because that's a population that's usually overlooked in a lot of municipalities and even in our own at times. So I really appreciate that. And then two, as a direct result of having so many beautiful parks and things, that we had to increase in our park maintenance and, frequent the park quite often. Well, several of them. It's good to know that there are some monies allocated to maintain our investment. So I just wanted to commend the administration, the mayor, and our finance guru over here for making that happen.
Any other questions? Mr. Fernandez, could you review with us again what are the dates that this council needs to do what by in terms of returning the budget back?
So it'll be the introduction today. Then we will send it off to the state. It'll be adoption on September 2nd. In the meantime, if there's any specific questions or issues, we have those 2 months to review and discuss. And then ultimately the state comes back. Typically, I always say they need to earn their money, right? So they always come back with some comment of some sort that, you'll get a corrective plan or a change, but it's usually minimal, right? That, it's usually wording, to be honest, that they want when we go to adopt, and that'll be on that same meeting. We'll have the public hearing. We'll kind of go through the same discussion we did today with the public, and then it'll be adoption. And to use Council President's term, we rinse and repeat.
In the next few weeks, with the council's permission, I'd like to consider how we go from now, specifically in terms of providing information to members of the council for their better understanding of the budget and its process. If members of the council would keep me in mind and keep me posted in terms of their thoughts, whether we should hold joint meetings, please inform me, and we will consider all items. Just a last word, you've heard very genuine compliments on this budget, and I join those. But we are one small municipality of over 500 municipalities in New Jersey, of how many in this country, of how many in this continent, and how many in this world. And as we all know, the world economy itself is in significant trouble right now. At least that's according to what everybody says. This is a tsunami that we will not be able to escape. It's going to require some very, very difficult decisions. Not this year. Well, this year, of course, there were difficult decisions to be made. But as Trenton has shared with us, this upcoming year is going to be difficult, but next year is going to be very difficult. When programs which are true to all of our beliefs as being vital and necessary, when the funds are simply not going to be there, and taxation across this country and across the state will be way into the double digits. The projections that I'm hearing now are 2 years from now, the budget increased to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 35%. Because, Mayor, as you said so eloquently, these numbers are simply not sustainable. And the governor knows that. He said this as such as his predecessors have, and there's no silver bullet. And the only thing that we can do is constantly reprioritize what it is that we're doing, question ourselves why we're doing it. And sometimes the answers will be good, and sometimes they won't be so good, and we've got to live with those decisions. But to join my colleagues, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Business Administrator, Mr. Finance Director, where is Elmar? Are you still here?
Yes.
Right there. Sorry. You need to grow. I gave you the compliment about being as good looking as the mayor. That's as far as it goes. My compliments, my extreme compliments to you. It's been a difficult budget to wrap together. Probably one of the more difficult that I've seen, but I'm more concerned, frankly, about next year than this year. And it's going to require difficult times. With the council, if there are no other questions at this time for the mayor?
If I may.
I'm sorry, ma'am, Councilwoman?
Just want to say thank you to the mayor and the administration because we are living the seven skinny cow years. And you guys put together a very conservative budget, but did not shed where the real services need to be. You guys make sure those are. I know it's a lot of work. Putting a budget together is not easy because you have to keep everyone in mind. But thank you. We really appreciate the hard work that you guys put behind this. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilwoman, if I may, I just want to take this opportunity, obviously, to thank the directors and the staff at City Hall. They're asked to do more with less, sometimes less staff. In the council's wisdom, working with the administration, years ago, we decided, as an example, to purchase garbage trucks for DPW so that when there would be issues or concerns, we would go out ourselves and pick them up. We expanded recreation programs and brought in more volunteers. Through attrition, we try to resolve issues that may impact whether benefits or salaries. It's not easy, as you mentioned. These are not the years of plenty. I think that's the reference you may be making, but it's definitely the years of responsibility. I often say this, and I think we take it for granted because it happens so much, and this year it's been much more difficult. Our assemblyman of the 36th Legislative District who serves on the council, who serves on the budget committee, he's well aware of the funding. Every municipality, he alluded to it. We have 564 municipalities, and they're all asking, we need more. And the representatives in the legislature, Senate and Assembly are out there fighting for their districts. The city of Passaic has received a number of grants that have helped us, whether with parking, with public safety, which becomes so important. Just the other day, our fire department had to respond with Bergen County and put boats into the water to rescue 3 individuals that were drowning. We don't always put the face to the numbers or the actual situations. We don't realize that without equipment, without the resources, without the additional garbage trucks or the boats in the fire department or police staff, that we might end up with more loss of life We may not be able to assist our neighboring municipalities. Oftentimes, people say, why do we need public safety? And we have to explain to them, this is an urban area, a densely populated city. You may be able to afford or have, take away the word afford, have volunteer firefighters in a more rural area when you have one house spaced so far out from another that if a fire occurred, you're not concerned with the neighborhood. But in the city of Passaic, if we don't respond in time, you have a whole block that went up in fire, and we need firefighters present. They need the apparatuses and the equipments, and we need to be able to respond to our neighbors the same way they respond to us through mutual aid. When we have calls throughout the city and we see the drastic drop in violent crime, when we see that our police are having additional patrols, whether it's the bike patrols or the command center, and then we consider that using grants and strategically and creatively utilizing UEZ to have additional patrols around specific strategic areas to ensure that we support our businesses and keep streets safe. We're doing everything that we can pragmatically, responsibly with what we have, but without working together, today wouldn't be possible. We may be looking at a double-digit increase. So I take the time to thank our directors, our staff who work so hard, also our assemblyman, who has an uncanny resemblance to our council president. I'll make that joke always, and to all of the council members, because it takes all of us working together. And hopefully the years will come, Council President, when those numbers level out. And we may be able to turn to the community and say, things are looking good in the state and obviously in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for all the work that you have personally invested in these numbers. With the council's permission, we're up to Roman numeral 6 on our agenda, hearing of citizens. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 et sec, the council opens every public meeting for comments of the public. However, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of a public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation at any meeting. Therefore, please be advised that the council will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias intimidation, in which a person intends to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, gender, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish their allotted 5 minutes for public discussion. If you would like to address the council, we invite you to come to the podium. We ask you to please share your name. Is there anyone who would like to speak before the council? Ma'am, love to have you.
Sorry, good evening. My name's Lauren.
Ma'am, I need to speak a little bit louder if you could.
Hi. Good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lauren Zulu. I am coming here to represent a group that I run. I've been running it since 2013. It at first started out as an autism support group because of my 2 special needs children. Now we've kind of evolved where we now call our group the Passaic Special Needs Support Group. We have approximately, I would say, about 5 to 10 parents, and the group is specifically for the parents. They are invited to bring their children, and we have a separate area where my mother actually keeps an eye on them in a separate room, and we are able to conduct our meeting. The meetings are held once a month. It's held graciously. We were given the permission from my church, St. Anthony of Padua, on Myrtle. And we meet once a month, like I said, for 2 hours. And we invite anybody to come. We have had authors, we've had film directors, we've had chiropractors, had doctors, etc. At our last meeting, we were discussing something that we feel we are starting to realize that we need a lot more for our children. And most of our children are between the ages of about 16 through to now my youngest son is 24, my oldest is 26. My youngest has autism. My eldest one has cerebral palsy, but in the lower extremes. Uh, but the other parents have children that have various issues, um, delays, all kinds of things. Sometimes they have two different conditions. One of the reasons why I came today is because we were discussing at our meeting and felt that we wanted to present just some of the things that we would like to see happening in our city. Like I said, we've always had this meeting in this city. It's a not, we don't have any, it's not a nonprofit. It's not something that we have been funded. We fund ourselves a little bit. I hold a luncheon by the request of the staff members of school number 6, Martin Luther King Jr. And from that luncheon, we're able to raise a little bit of money so that we can have food provided for the parents each month. We spend about maybe like $70 or so for not only the parents, but also for the children. So anyway, we discussed a couple of things, and I just wanted to share it with you, and I can sit down. The first thing is to do with graduates, for special needs graduates in the schools of Passaic. And my son, I actually had to take him out of the state, but for the students here, we are looking to figure out how they are presented with a diploma. What does that diploma look like? I don't know if it's really been addressed. I know that we do have a C, is it a CPAC? CPAC group that meet to be the liaison between parents and the parents of students and of course the school system. So I'm not sure if it's been discussed fully, but
I'm going
that's
to ask
one
you
thing.
ma'am, I'm going to ask you to begin wrapping up if you wouldn't mind.
Sure, sure. The second one is about work programs provided in Passaic for special needs children, or adults rather. We also wanted to address something about how certain these individuals like to be independent, of course, and they are traveling sometimes on their own, but sometimes they are being intervened by the homeless. So I'm not sure how that could be addressed, if maybe they could have an aide or somebody who can help with how the homeless approach these particular individuals. The fifth thing is we're concerned, of course, now our children are still staying in our homes, most of them, but as far as housing, because once the children reach the age of 21, or adults, but we consider them children, of course, once they reach over 21, all their services disappear, basically. And this is a very difficult thing on how we try and work out where they can be housed. I'm sorry about that. And then the last three things are job training, of course, the aspect of medicine, health, and dentistry for special needs children, adults, and of course, just to get more support from the council. That's it. Thank you very much for listening to me and hearing me out. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
everybody.
thank you.
And thank you, Mayor.
Some of the things that you referenced are simply extraordinary. Simply extraordinary. It's quite all right. Some of the things, many of the things which you mentioned that you and your friends and colleagues have done together to support each other in terms of this extraordinarily important issue. Autism, as we all know, used to be something that no one spoke about, and thank God the doors are open, the windows are opened, and we're able to deal with society on its own level. It really sounds extraordinary what you're doing, and I would commend you to continue doing such. I'm sure in the city of Passaic there are some things that can be done. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take the liberty of giving the microphone over to the mayor, which I don't always do. But this is a subject which I know is extraordinarily important to him, and frankly to all of us, but him as our spokesperson.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to share this week, we had a meeting with Autism NJ. And many of these same concerns were addressed in our Zoom meeting to see how we can partner up in the city of Passaic. But I want to share with you, first, I want to echo the sentiments and the words of our council president. Your work is noble and very needed, especially for parent support activities and groups. Oftentimes, the focus appropriately on the child who has special needs, whether on the spectrum or otherwise, and people forget that parents are also needing some help and support. And we actually talked about that and also addressed creating programs for siblings of those who have special needs, oftentimes who are referred to as neurotypical. They are, by some standards, neglected or forgotten about because of the hyper focus on the child. But I wanted to share some things that we do have in place. So our police still use the Blue Envelope program. We've been introducing that in training and sharing. That is, individuals, adults who are on the spectrum or have autism, they have this envelope in their car as they drive, because many more are now starting to get their license, and if pulled over by a police officer, it's an immediate identifier that lets you know. So we have that program in the city of Passaic. We would love to share that information. Also, we have an adult special needs recreation program.
Yeah, my son is in that one.
Excellent. Yes.
He loves it.
Yes, they go
Every
bowling, they go
Tuesday.
to plays, they go to the beach, they go all over. So we really want to expand on that. And I think it was referenced by Councilman Dr. Terrence Love regarding expanding our recreation program, especially with those with special needs. We've recently found out, in Council President, we may ask you in your other roles to look into this, that the county has a limit on the GPS tracking program that they do on adults, where they're no longer going to continue that service. I know that we have a similar program in the city of Passaic, and we'll be bringing reports to the council on how we'll have to address that. But I also wanted to share that in regards to some of your questions, the special needs program, the graduation program in the schools, because we go to the graduation, they're similar. They walk the grass, they receive the same diploma. But in terms of work training and what that diploma will actually do, I've actually had conversations with the council president and certain agencies in the city to see how we can develop job training programs that would be conducive for those who are adults and maybe don't feel comfortable interacting immediately in crowds or with customer service. One of the programs that we're exploring with a not-for-profit in the city is working in food trucks. Inside of the food trucks, because of the separation with the public, obviously the order of items, all the items go in the same place, the money, the exchange. So we're actually doing a pilot program. If I say actually one more time, cut off my mic. We're doing a pilot program to try to
You're
develop
doing
that.
fine, Mayor. Don't be nervous.
Thank you very much. I do get excited. I'm passionate about it because our council colleagues, our recreation department, our city, we're aware of the aging out of services and the need that we see coming in the future. When we've spoken to Joyce Hunt of our community development regarding affordable housing and programs for adults with autism and what that would look like, especially with professionals living in the facilities, ensuring that these developments would occur or would be created near bus stops, transportation. We have free shuttle service around the city that helps individuals who want to get around in the city. And that reduces the risk of someone ending up in another municipality because they got on a bus trying to get downtown and you end up in New York or something, because this shuttle stays locally. An individual trying to get to Main Avenue or to ShopRite, at worst, they'll stay right here in the city because it doesn't leave. So we're working on that. In terms of the health benefits, dentistry and otherwise, that's something new. That concern, and as a parent of a child with autism, we know the challenges, especially for individuals who are sensitive to touch, to noise, whether we're getting training of individuals, and that's something that we can reach out to some of the professionals in the field, whether it's the hospital or some of the dentist professionals, to see how they're incorporating services or considering to make it more inclusive. We've seen it in barbershops, actually, where some of the barbers in Passaic, in working with them, they've begun creating spaces using clippers, as an example, that are low noise clippers. That they use them for children with autism or adults because it's less likely to trigger or create a concern. And then lastly, with homelessness, I want to be very, very transparent. It's extremely difficult for us to train or reach out to homeless individuals and say, hey, this is how you can approach someone with autism. It is something that I would need help with from professionals more experienced in the area. We'll talk to our human services, and we'll try to reach out to some of the counselors who work in this field, and speak to our police. We have Deputy Chief Gentiles here, and see what we can do to ensure that those who are going around obviously enjoying well-deserved autonomy and independence, which I believe is the goal and desire of every parent, no matter where you find your child in terms of their abilities. We want to see them be independent, have jobs, have an apartment when they're older, and live productive lives. So we'll bring that up with our police. Again, we're excited about the meetings that we're having with Autism NJ. We'll bring a report to the council, and if we can get your information, we have staff members here like Ian or Jasenia, and you can leave them the information. We'll set up a follow-up meeting to see how we can connect and bring in the council members as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to address the council, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy Estrada. I'm living in Passaic, Highland Avenue. I am part of CPAC of Passaic from public school, Passaic Public Schools. And I, with Ms. Lauren for a long time. We are here like 50 years, trying to support the parents with information or trainings or something like that. I really appreciate you have the blue envelope because I request one from Clifton Police and say, no, you have to go to the department for the sheriff or the police on Passaic. So I remember Lauren has also the ID. I have a form somewhere. I have a form that parents can fill out. Now, the most important thing that I'm here, I would like to, we create a office that the parents can fill out these kind of things, and the kid will be diagnosed when it's 2 or 1 year, and then we go to the adult life, because when the kids go to the adult life, it's really hard to navigate on this service. There are services, but it's difficult to get in. So now with our course, you say Medicare. In Medicare is really important for our kids. It's really important they have the therapists, the medicine, the checkups, everything. It's so important to have focus this or pay attention on these kids. So I would like to, if you or someone can create an office, because some of our parents go to other districts like Patterson. They go at another district and tell them what they need, and they help them. And it's fine, it's good, because they can bring also information to us. But I would like to hear on Passaic, the parents feel comfortable to explain what they need, especially when our population is primarily Spanish speaking, like me. So we need more information about it. It's just one thing. The other thing, I would like to know, as a parent of Passaic Public Schools, when in September it's going to open the new schools, we know from the parents, they really worried about the security, because we know this area is a little bit difficult. I would like to know what is the plan, or if you having a plan for keep our kids safe. because many of the kids are worried, or the parents are feel worried what's going on with these kids when they arrive in this zone. They are not a good reputation, because I always think Passaic is beautiful, Passaic is good. We have a lot of people working in front of us, try to keep Passaic safe and clean and growing up. But I would like to know if the police or you have a plan to try to tell the parents, don't worry, the kids are going to be safe. We are mentioning about the bus, the little bus, because some kids coming out from the Pacific Park or some areas is far away from the school 9 and school 8. So we are trying to tell them there are no other options. Your kids don't need to walk. So there's going to be this kind of transportation. So I hope that the parents can use it, but security is really important. Our kids don't need to be in the gangs or something like that. No, we don't need it. Those schools are going to be really great. And I really hope when the Passaic High School, the new Passaic High School is open, they'll be ready for kids and they get the good education, especially for special kids. So I really appreciate them. And I try to talk in English. It's difficult for me, but thank you so much for hearing me, and I would like to pay attention on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone
Council
else?
President, as to her question,
I'm sorry.
may share two questions. One, we'll address it with the council and see if we can work on an office to address the concerns of families in terms of the city, programs for autism and assisting with applications or filling out paperwork. But your second question, I believe it is directly related to the high school being closed. When you're referring to the new schools, is that the high school students will now be going downtown to school number 8, school number 9, and concern of safety. These children will now be walking there. There's going to be obviously a large number of youth that will be in these areas that have been areas of concern. We've had conversations with our police department. Our council has reached out as well to ensure that we're doing everything possible. We'll work closely with the school. We have an SRO program, our school resource officers. They are aware that there is a change in terms of the dynamics in the city where we'll have older children that will be walking before these elementary schools. Most of the kids were picked up by their parents. We know that at these older ages, children are walking. Some of them will be coming from far. We will have stepped up patrol during the hours of school opening and school closing, not just with our SROs, but we've actually, and I mentioned to it, or I alluded to it earlier, through creative means we've stepped up the presence of police officers in certain areas around our commercial district where there are businesses. Fortunately, one of the benefits of being 3.2 square miles is that everything is so close together. Market Street is right by these schools, so the extra officers that are by the business area will be right there by the school patrolling. The presence will be felt. But again, it is always a challenge in every city. Our children are a priority. I'll share with you, and everyone is aware, all of my children go to public school. I believe that we have good schools and a safe community, just not a perfect community. So are there areas for improvement? Of course, and that's why I appreciate so much when parents come to our meetings and address concerns and identify areas where we can improve. We will look to step up the presence of police in those areas of the new school, working with security in the school, our school resource officers, as well as the police officers in our area, and we'll be reaching out to our county sheriff to see if he can assist as well throughout this transition.
Okay, I just want to add one thing. I know you have the recreation program, and I know they have a waiting list. And now we have a lot of kids are at home, they doing nothing. But I would like to, if try to open more spaces. Also, all the kids coming from school, these kids always, well, the parents are always on communication. And sometimes the people that work, I know it's difficult and it's different way that you manage this program. But always the parents are on communication with the person that are in charge for these programs. And sometimes they say, no, please don't call me because I don't have time to attend you. Okay, let me try to speak to Bayer what's going on with that. Because those parents, every single time are on communication with the teachers. So it's difficult for them to stop the communication with the person that in charge for the program. So it's just one thing. One parent called me and told me that I am going to come to bring this with you. And so thank you so much. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for being here, and anything we are here to cooperate as a parent, to be part of the community, to be part of the city of Passaic. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council?
Yes, good evening. Joe Conoscenti. Council President, can I present a exhibit? Can I have it A1 marked?
Yes, if you give it to the clerk, please, and she'll have it passed to members of the council. That's your intention, sir?
Yes. Okay, Council President, the reason of this picture is by 101 Passaic Avenue. The point I'm bringing up is by the administration building on the outside there. It has nothing to do with the school. If you go there, there's a plaque there. It could tell you the history of that. Before the school was built, it was a city hall. That's the reason that bell is in that area. So my question is to the council, if you can help the school, everybody, can we have another location to put that before it would maybe get destroyed? Because I don't know what the plans is for that bell. My gesture would be maybe out here, because this is a municipal building, and it would be part of that. That's my gesture to that. My next question I have here is, thanks for the paving of the roads, especially Chestnut, Henry Street, and the intersection of Myrtle and Howe Avenue, and a few other ones there. Glad that's all taken care of. But there's still only one problem with that. On Henry Street, you have storm drains, and I know within about 2 years ago, they hired a company to have these storm drains cleaned. But I don't know if they missed it or what the story is, but the one on Henry Street is very bad. You got two, one on each side of the street, Henry and Main. So they just paved the road today, and now we got clogged storm drains. There's probably a few other places still besides that. I'd like to see if that could be looked into. My next question that I have, I noticed for a while now that the streets with the names of the streets, there's no signs in a lot of areas. Like you got Prospect Street, or you got, there's a bunch of other ones that don't have no signs. I'd like to see if maybe funding or something that you're gonna have signs put up in a lot of streets that don't have it. My next question that I have here is, okay, we had Memorial Day at May 31st. I noticed it was very disappointing. The reason why, the introduction was terrible, has no meaning at all with Memorial Day. Because Memorial Day is a Remembrance Day. And there was nothing on that issue about Remembrance Day. And then they pick a ground marshal, which I don't understand what he done, where he became ground marshal. I don't see any reason for that. And also, going back to the introduction, it was a very bad day because you don't give certificates out on a Remembrance Day, Memorial Day. That could be done here. That could be done any other place, but very bad.
1 minute.
My next question is, on the taps, the guy's playing a bugle and there's no flag raising. It's horrible. There was one group that usually comes out the bikers there, and they were told not to participate this year. Why? I don't know why. Okay. My next question that I have on the ordinance that you had at the last meeting, ordinance 2485-25, residential parking permits. The question that I have is that for the whole city, or is that a certain area where they're gonna have permit parking? That's what I have tonight.
Any more?
What's that?
Any more points, Mr. Conoscente?
That's it. For now.
So I gave you full latitude to say what you were going to say, and I didn't interrupt you. So you're going to do the same with me, yes? You're not going to
No.
interrupt me?
No, I'm listening.
Okay, good. Good. Thank you for your comments and your compliments in terms of the roads. We agree they're looking great. Some areas need to be done. That's always the case. It's constant, but the steps that have been taken have been phenomenal. In terms of the bell, which is extraordinarily important to so many of us, I'm sure that good care will be taken care of where to put it and how to put it, and what would be most important. Your comments on street signs are very important also, and very helpful to my understanding, and I'm sure to my colleagues' understanding in terms of what the real priorities are. And streets without a sign is a very difficult thing. Having said that, I am fascinated by your analysis of our Memorial Day festivities. I'm amazed that you said what you're going to say. Here was an opportunity to say something positive and good, and instead you took it and you stampled on it and said it was terrible. Even the taps had no flag raising, nothing good about it at all. Mr. Conoscente, I sometimes say to myself, if only we had more of you, our city would be in such a different place. I don't think better, but a different place than it is. I don't know where one gets the gumption and the wherewithal to stand up there and put down what kids have been doing and everything else in the name of what I'm not quite sure. But I promise you that I'll listen attentively to all the things that you say in the future and try to mock them where I can and where it's most appropriate, which seems to be from beginning to end throughout. But I do thank you for coming tonight and wish you good speed.
Yeah.
Anyone else like to address the
Sounds good to
council,
me.
please?
Seeing no hands, I'm moving close.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second to close. Roll call to close, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We're on communications, please. Roman numeral 7 of our agenda. On items 1 through 4. Are there any questions, please, on 1 through 4? Seeing no votes at this time, may I have a motion, please, to accept 1 through 4?
Move it.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. A separate vote, please, on number 5.
Move it.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Abstain, please. All matters listed are to be routine in nature. Items 7 through 14. Seven through 14, please.
Move.
Are there any questions on 7 through 14? Seeing none, motion please on 7 to 14. Is there a move, please?
Move.
Move and second. 7 through 14.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Abstain.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Separate vote, please, on number 15.
What did I abstain?
Move.
Second.
Move and 7 on 15, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Abstain. This is the
And Council President Shear.
Vote yes, please. Roman numeral 8 on our agenda, budget
I'm sorry,
introduction
Council
by
President, did you skip
current year
item number?
2025. I'm sorry, ma'am.
I'm sorry, did you skip item number 6?
I don't believe we did.
Yes, you did. You
Yeah,
said
Very
7.
good. Separate vote. I appreciate the correction, please. On number 6, please, is there a motion to accept?
Move it.
Motion,
Second.
motion and second on 6 only.
Councilman Love,
yes,
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. A budget introduction by current year 2025. Mr. Fernandez, you're going to help us on this one? On Roman numeral 8. 16, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A 4-45.14. First reading to be considered prior to budget introduction, second reading to be set at introduction. Is there a motion, please, to accept?
Move it.
second,
Motion and second on 16 only. Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
yes,
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On 17, please, a resolution authorizing the current year municipal budget to be read by title. Motion, please.
move it,
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please, on 17, excuse me.
Councilman Love,
yes,
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On 18, please, introduction of the municipal budget, current year 2025. Is there a motion, please?
so move it, Council.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes,
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Roman numeral 9 on our agenda, please, resolutions. Number 19 is a resolution authorizing closed executive session of the City Council of the City of Passaic on July 15, 2025, at 7 p.m. or any time thereafter to discuss pending litigation, contract negotiations, and personnel matters. It's my understanding that we,
We could use an executive session tonight.
very good. There will be an executive session, Mr. Fernandez.
That is correct, Council President.
Very good, members of the council. Very good. Let's put 19 in abeyance for a moment, if you would, please. On items 20 through 50, are there any questions, please? 20 through 50. Mr. Fernandez, on 31, please, could you help us understand that? What are we doing here?
Okay, so yeah, this is for the design and construction management of the Pocket Park on Main Avenue in Pennington. So as the council may recall, we had gotten $5.7 million from the Urban Investment Fund of the EDA, which included a number of cityscape projects. We've already approved design professionals and construction oversight for a few of them, one of them being the plaza deck here. The other one is at the Cole Square. This would be for the Main and Pennington design of that corridor.
Because they're relatively small, are they meant to be passive parks or more than active?
Yes, they're, in fact, part of the grant is specifically for pedestrian, passive recreation, pedestrian safety, things of that nature, kind of like to protect the corridor and those using the space. And the locations that we were permitted to create this was basically here in our central business district. So everything is with that end to be able to accommodate some of the businesses and those that shop in those businesses and be able to enjoy the time downtown around that area.
Has there been any consideration given, or is it not permitted, but to set aside parking spaces next to these?
So that's
parks?
not an eligible expense.
That's what I thought.
It's basically for streetscapes right? Not really roadway improvements. It's more for the pedestrian and the usage of consumers and pedestrians in the area.
Okay, if I could ask you on 44, please? What are we looking at here? Paulson, 91 to...
Oh, okay, yeah, so this one is, on Paulson Avenue, there are two rooming houses that have approximately 30 rooming units on it, and it's been a area of some concern with the rooming houses. As the council may or may not be aware, rooming houses are prohibited uses in the city of Passaic. We are in discussions with the owner of both of these properties for a designation and ultimately demolishing these two prohibited uses and creating a more viable permitted use.
If they're prohibited, how do we have them, and how do we negotiate with them?
Because, yeah, I mean, the mayor, I tell you, he anticipates the question so well. He's like, they're grandfathered in. So that's the answer. So they're pre-existing non-conforming uses. And whenever possible, the redevelopment law is specifically to address some of these pre-existing non-conforming uses that create certain issues within an area. So the idea would be the maintenance of the property, the crime or amount of service calls that are to the property. These are all parts of the components that this study is going to look at to designate the parcels. So for those of you in the public and for council members that may not know, this is step one. This directs the planning board to create a study. Once you do this, we will start preparing a study to make sure that these two properties, which I can tell you with almost 100% certainty, qualify as areas in need of rehabilitation just by the mere fact of what they do and how they act. And then it'll come back to the council for a resolution of designation. You will then designate it. Once that is done, a plan will be created so that these two properties can be demolished and then put back into a more adequate use, let's put it that way.
So would it in fact become...
Residential, it's a residential, multifamily residential neighborhood. So for those of you that may know, between High and Pennington, there's all those multifamily buildings that are on the corner, and then you have these larger homes. So if you look, it's funny, when you go on the corner, there's multifamilies, you go to the next corner, there's multifamilies, and then there's like four houses in the middle. Well, two of the largest houses there are rooming houses, which account for, somewhere in there with 25 to 30 rooming units. And the idea is to grab those rooming units and make them viable apartments, right? So
rooming unit is a one night, a week?
So they're week-to-week rentals. And they're usually single occupancy and shared common spaces. So everybody shares the same kitchen, everybody shares the same bathroom. Some of the issues that you run into, and I'm looking at the fire chief, because hot plates seem to be a very common thing. And sometimes even kerosene. Remember that, Chief? Kerosene heaters in these facilities. And then not to mention looking at the deputy chief of police, some of the criminal activities and usage of non-permissible.
Yeah.
The vetting process usually for applicants for apartments or for units are much more rigorous and detailed than for a rooming house, to say the least. Obviously, that lets the public know that some individuals who come, there's no background check. You're only going to be here for a couple of days. It's really hard for us to know what the intent, as opposed to someone who's going to be here month to month and set roots down.
Questions from the council? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept items 20 through 50?
So move it.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Ordinances for introduction and first reading for number 51. Proposed ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Is there a motion to sit down for second and final reading at the council's next meeting on August 5?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello.
Yes.
Councilman Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Payment of bills. Are there any questions on the bills? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept the bills as presented?
Move it.
Second.
Councilman Love.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello.
Yes.
Councilman Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Administrators report.
Normally, I don't say anything, but I have one comment that I'd just like to make and piggyback on the mayor's comments about the grants. And just Omar can attest to this for his old hat of being the auditor. I just want the public to know and the city council that the city of Passaic is known for having one of the highest success rates in grants to fund their budgets than any municipality of our size. In fact, our auditors, every time they come to our office, just shake their heads because they cannot believe the amount of tens of millions of dollars that we operate our budgets with through grants. So I just want to make sure that that was on the record since we had the discussions of it. And again, that's a testament to everybody in administration and city hall. And they know that our grant writer knows, don't even ask us, should we go for this grant? The answer is always yes. It doesn't matter what it is. Go get the grant, even if it's like $2. Anyway, that's my report, Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I got you down.
Council President, we have our family camp out this year. It's going to be Saturday night going into Sunday, where families will be able to pitch tents and experience a camp out at our park, as well as fishing in Hughes Lake, and many activities. It's become extremely popular. And I believe in the next coming weeks, we have a presentation from our youth in the city of Passaic under the direction of our business administrator. It's a planning program that occurs here in the city where young people get to participate in a project for the city, present it, then we'll bring it to the council and we actually work on that project with their designs, with their research and their study. We continue to involve our youth in government, and it's becoming more and more popular every year. Our business administrator will report on it for the next council meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. With the council's permission, the council has passed item number 16. Item number 19, authorizing a closed executive session. I'd like to take a 5-minute break, please, and come back. When we come back, we will meet in closed session. So we ask all members, everyone here who's present, with the exception of senior staff, to please wait for us. There may or may not be action taken, and I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but it shouldn't be that very long. At this point, we'll take a break and then come back.